Oh, alright. I think we're here, everybody. Welcome to Pokemon Showdown State of Play. That's what we're going to call this for now, at least, till I come up with something better, honestly. I do want to shout out, you're currently on the Glitch X City live stream. If you do not know who Glitch X City is as a creator, go check out their channel. I mean, they're one of the top people in the game. If I have no idea how you know me without knowing Glitch X City, it's impossible. Their links is even in the description of like every one of my videos because their music is so good. But yeah, we're gonna have that live stream on the background. I need my phone actually. If I'm gonna have Pokemon Showdown up, I need to have my phone so I can look at chat. I've not seen you go live in ages. How are you? I'm doing pretty good, Dead Ice Cream. Thanks for asking. Today is a nothing day. I have nothing to do today because I finished everything I had to do today yesterday. Today is a very interesting day, though, for reasons that are maybe... how do I phrase it? Today's been a very interesting YouTube drama day. Because last night, I don't know if whoever keeps up with the Sniper Wolf and Jack's film stuff. Last night, Sniper Wolf full on just doxed Jack's films, which is just insane. Okay, I had the live stream up on my phone. Are you doing your own team or a set team? I have a few teams that I want to go through. We're mostly going to be... Some of this is going to be me using teams that I've already made. Some of it is going to be completely new team building, just to get a feel for what is good right now or what is popular. Whole lot of stuff, whole lot of stuff. For Kitakami Prologue, I'll probably only be using one team. We can go to that team right now, because it's this one. I'll just leave it up. Why? Make sure everything is good. Callus is still annoying me. Callus is hard in Pokeclicker. There's no way you just gotta trudge through it. It's like, there's so many important milestones in Kalos, on top of the fact that you don't get that many new Pokemon in Kalos. It's a rough region. But it only gets easier from there, really. Alola and Galar are really not that bad. So I'll probably be starting off with my Kitakami Prologue team. This is the team that I got top... Actually, I haven't... Where's my Switch? I haven't actually looked at the results of that yet. But when I was... I think it was on Sunday. On Sunday was the last day that you could play matches, and I didn't get in all of my matches, but I got in a pretty good number of them. I think I did 38 out of the 45 that you were allowed to do. And when I ended my last match, I was like number 246 or so. I don't know what that's out of, but let me look it up. I just made it to Clement's gym. Ooh, nice. That's like halfway. While the Switch is loading up, we can talk about the team a little bit here. So the basic idea of this team is that Kamoo is a very strong pocket monster. I do not have Scarlet in my Switch. I have Tears of the Kingdom in my Switch. So we can take a little bit of a look at Kamo here. Kamo is... I'm not sure how many... I know Garchomp was also in this. I think... Maybe... Nah. Gudra was in here, but... Kamo, being a pseudo-legendary, it has very high natural stats, so it is a very, very favorable Pokemon to use. I like Kamo, so I started with building this team with Kamo in mind. What I thought was going to be really strong was the Body Press set, because Body Press just allows you to build up your defense and then hit opponents really hard. It's something that was really good during Spike Moves Cup for Gen 8, which was no Dynamax, no Box Legendaries, no Mythicals, that sort of thing. Body Press Kamo was really good in that format, and the way I looked at Kitakami Prologue was very similar to Spike Moves Cup. Where instead of Urshifu, we had Ogerpon, which Kamo can deal really well with as long as we get our defense up, and it does not crit us with Rock Ogerpon was going to be the most problematic Pokemon for Kamo to get set up with. On how where's Hitsuya and Paldea gonna be? Hard to say. You know, they're definitely being worked on, but they definitely like to make big numbers even bigger every time in PokeClicker. It's the natural gameplay loop. But for this Kamo set, we have Body Press and Iron Defense. These are just natural. Iron's Defense, if you have Body Press, is basically just Sword Stance. But you're increasing your defense as much as your attack at the same time, so it's a really potent option if you want to get big damage out really quickly. Only downside with Body Press is that you can't hurt Ghost types, but we'll go into a few things that I did to mitigate that in a bit. We also have Leftovers and the Soundproof ability. Soundproof was probably the biggest one, mostly because with the lack of Amoonguss or any real sleep powders, there was pretty much no need for Overcoat. And Bulletproof is really only useful for dodging Shadow Ball right now. Shadow Ball is the only notable bulletproof. I mean, like, there's like Rillaboom Bullet Seed, but it's really not that important for you to dodge Rillaboom Bullet Seed. So Soundproof helps us in 3 major cases. The first one being Parting Shot Pokemon can no longer Parting Shot out on Kamo, which is really nice if we need our attack up for any reason. We can still Dragon Tail things pretty decently. And things cannot switch out on us, getting that free Parting Shot. Second one for Kamo is Blood Moon Ursaluna's Hyper Voice, which allows us to ignore. So if we Terra Flying, that means that the only move that it can hit us with, if it is most Ursaluna Blood Moon sets had the moves Blood Moon, Hyper Voice, Earth Power, and Protect or Moonblast or something like that. For Soundproof, it means that they can't deal spread damage to us, which is really handy. And with the Eevee set that we have, we can take at least one Blood Moon. There's like item sets that do get very close to picking up KO, like Terra Normal Choice Specs, I think would pick up KO sometimes, but not a lot of Ursalunas were actually running that. So now that I'm on my game, I need to connect it to the internet, because I have not gotten the results of where I finished in Kitakami Prologue yet. But you want Protect mostly so you can just stay on the field for a really long time, get your extra leftovers, stall out other Pokemon who might be trying to double into you. Very good. And it was really hard for me to pick technically a 4th move, but it's kind of a 3rd move. Protect is, like, always very good to have, but Dragon Tail as the third move I thought fit the best because it would allow me to Dragon Tail Pokemon that were trying to either Sword Stance or build up their stats in order to beat Kamao, or just get rid of Pokemon that I didn't want to be on the field for a very long time. And it also doubles into some other strategies that we'll talk about a bit later. But our second Pokemon is Glimmora. Glimmora was in Kitakami Prologue because of that little crystal area on top. Glimmora fit on this team very well. Oh, okay, I got 774. Doesn't tell me how many people that's out of, though. That's pretty good. I mean, that's top 1,000 in the world. And for a while, I was the 24th highest person in the world. Then I got ranked by the Japanese players, but that's a whole nother story. But for this Glimmora set, I wanted a really fast Glimmora, just so I could get off all of my moves. And it was also a really good counter to people bringing, like, Ogerpon. Ogerpon is the main Pokemon that I needed Glimmora to hit, because basically all of them are grass types. So if I could get off the Moral Spin and then bring Glimmora back out for Venoshock, it would give me a very secure win condition against Ogerpon, especially Power Gem into the Hearthflame Mask form. Would do lots of damage. Lots of damage. I'm sitting in my bed with 27 packs of Skittles right next to me. A bit of an early Halloween gift there, huh? Nice. We have Mortal Spin. Mortal Spin allows me to poison both Pokemon on the field unless they're Steel types or Poison types, because I opted for Toxic Debris, which I think was fine. Toxic Debris... Toxic Debris and Corrosion are pretty split, with probably Corrosion isn't as handy, because... Well, actually, Corrosion might have been more handy because of the Loyal 3 all being Poison types, but it's not that important. Or at least it never felt that important. Toxic Debris definitely helped me whenever I could, like, Terra Grass against Garchomp and then go for Energy Ball to take half of Garchomp's health, and it would Earthquake the field, and then I would get my Toxic spikes up for any Pokemon that come in after Garchomp, and they wouldn't know that I was faster until the end of the turn, so... Yeah, I think Toxic Debris was generally more worth it. Energy Ball to hit Water types. We have types like Basculegion and Politoed and Water Heartflame Mask. All do not like Energy Ball. And so it's good coverage and technically good surprise coverage. You could have Earth Power here, but I think Earth Power doesn't fit as much as the rest of the types because you need the Power Gem and the Venoshock for stab. Mortal Spin is just good spread in order to poison things that just want to follow me, like Clefairy, Snorlax lead. You can just click Mortal Spin and then Snorlax's turns are numbered. An Energy Ball is just good. Grass type damage aligns with your Terra for if you want to just Terra Grass right off the bat, which I would see myself doing in a good number of matchups. This helped me put Dragon Tail and Kamao, because if I got my Toxic Debris off, I could Dragon Tail a Pokemon out, and then whenever it would come back in, it would guarantee that it would get poisoned over time. So yeah, Basculegion, very, very hard-hitting Pokemon with adaptability, and in this format, it's pretty mid-speed. In the current format, like Reg E, you would consider something like Urshifu, which has like 167 about speed, mid-speed. In Kitakami Prologue, 130 is about mid-speed. And Pokemon like Ogerpon are high speed, because you don't have like Fluttermane or Chi-Yu or anything that's really fast. Well, I guess Chi-Yu's not that fast, but Fluttermane and Iron Bundle and Tornadus are not here, so you don't have to worry about getting outsped as much in Kitakami Prologue. So it is safer to run like an Adamant Nature and Speed, and you don't need Swift Swim. Nothing has to settle the rain when you're Adaptability, because Adaptability hits so freaking hard with all of your moves. But that's not the only purpose of my Basculegion. With Last Respects and Aqua Jet, I obviously wanted it to deal a lot of damage, and I felt that those were the two best moves in order to be able to keep that, and my Focus Sash. That's why I don't have Wave Crash, because we're Focus Sash, and I don't want to break my own Focus Sash just using Wave Crash, and Aqua Jet is kind of handy in case I get into Trick Room scenarios. I can just click Aqua Jet into a slot, And if it's something like Blood Moon or Ursaluna that hasn't terraed yet, then we're going to be dealing a lot of damage into that slot. But one of the options that I thought was really nice whenever I looked at it was Soak. Soak was actually very handy on Basque Legion going into Kitakami Prologue, because it allowed me to do a couple of different things. One of them being that, as I mentioned before, Body Press cannot hurt ghost types like Annihilate or opposing Basque Legion or Dusclops or all of those Pokemon that really stall out the Komodo endgame with their own moves, because Dragon Tail doesn't do that much damage, especially for things like what? Oh, Sinistcha. Sinistcha is also another tanky ghost type. It's hard for Komodo to remove those things, but with Soak, I can make a Pokemon water type, and if we're like down to the last 2 Pokemon, and I click Soak, then that Pokemon is no longer able to change its type unless it terrestrializes. Soak does not work on Terra Pokemon, but it is very handy for endgames, especially whenever it's like a King Gambit and something else left. King Gambit just wants to Sucker Punch Basque Legion in order to kill it in one hit. And even if my Focus Sash is broken, I can click Soak, and that makes King Gambit a water type. So not only is King Gambit not KOing my Basque Legion that turn, it's now a water type, so it's not getting its Dark or its Steel Stab anymore. So that was a very handy move. And then I used to have the Basque Legion that I put into Kitakami Prologue had Endeavor, because I thought it might as well with the Focus Sash, maybe Endeavor could be useful in some scenarios. And there was one scenario where Endeavor was handy. It's because I met an Iron Defense Body Press Bronzong, who was able to stall out Kamo-O a little bit faster than Kamo-O was able to stall out it. But I think they Gyro Balled into Basque Legion, and it brought me down to a low enough health where I was able to Endeavor and then Body Press into... We were in Trick Room too, but it was Endeavor and then Body Press, and then that picked up the KO on Bronzong, who had already gotten to +6 in Body Press, which kind of helped me ignore a crit. Birthday gift for 2 days ago. Oh, happy belated birthday. I'll give you a Pokedex entry and you try to guess who it is. Alright, I'm always down for those kind of things. And then yeah, our EVs are pretty straightforward. We could have put the 4 Spadef into HP, but it doesn't really change that much. It was really nice to have Basculin as a lead and then be able to kind of bait some hits and then switch out into something else immediately, or maybe even let Basculin go down immediately, but it has so much pressure exerted because it's not open team sheet. I could just click like Wave Crash, and my opponent fully has to respect that option in Kitakami Prologue. So yeah, I liked a lot of what Basque Legion got out of this format. Next is the shining star of the format, Ogerpon, and specifically Hearth Flame Ogerpon. Ogerpon was definitely going to be the strongest Pokemon in Kitakami Prologue by like a country mile, not even close. I think the second strongest was probably Ursaluna Blood Moon form. That's something I could have thought about, but I didn't really want to run Ursaluna Blood Moon form. But here we have a pretty typical Ogerpon set. It's just max speed, 252 attack in order to get off the most damage and make sure that we're not being outsped by other Ogerpons. It's the most important for the Hearth Flame Mask to not be getting outsped by other Ogerpons. And we have Ivy Cudgel and Hornleech because they are strong grass-type moves. And then we also have Encore. Encore is... it's alright. I don't know what other move I would have... It's just alright. I don't know what other move I would really put on. In testing, I used it more often than I used it in the actual game. Maybe just because I didn't bring Ogerpon as much when I played the actual game. But Encore was very handy for things that wanted to set up Trick Room or just click Follow Me the entire time. Helped me guarantee end games where we would just spend a lot. Like if King Gambit wanted to Sucker Punch Ogerpon, I could just click Encore and then make it run out of Sucker Punch BP, and then just click Ivy Cudgel eventually to guarantee KOs that way. Encore it's alright. I think I could have used it more if I just used Ogerpon more in general, but Spiky Shield is also 100% necessary if you're running Ogerpon, because it's just better protect. It loves to eat roasted berries, but sometimes it gets too excited and burns them to a crisp. Guess who? I'm gonna say... I think maybe like a fire-type starter. Let's go with Chimchar. I think it's perfectly possible for that to be Chimchar. Next up, we have Sinistcha. Sinistcha, another new Pokemon added during the DLC. I like a lot what Sinistcha has to offer. And my Sinistcha is a little bit different than most Sinistcha, if I do say so myself. My Sinistcha is full defense tank, but we have a little bit more offense than most Sinistchas have, which is Matcha, Gotcha, and Hex. Hex is pretty nice if I get the burn on Matcha Gotcha. I almost said Matcha Gucha. It's not a real thing. But it's especially nice if I use Glomora to poison things. It means that Hex gets to increase in power to 130 power, and then Sinistcha is able to clean up endgames where things have had their health ticked down a lot by Glomora's poison over time and Kamo staying on the field. It's totally possible for Sinistcha to shore up an endgame where Kamo just clicks Protect, and then Sinistcha clicks Hex into the one thing that was threatening Kamo. It's a completely blindsiding move. We also have Strength Sap in order to lower the attack of other Pokemon, but also to heal ourselves in case there's one Pokemon left and we need to lower its attack and get all the way back to full health. Strength Sap is really handy. And then we also have Trick Room. Not a lot of this team is obviously going to be Trick Room. Pretty much nothing on this team. Like everything has speed EVs. Like Glomora, Basculegion, and Ogerpon all have speed EVs, but this is a Trick Room more just so that you can use it to get rid of other Pokemon's Trick Room. But we do have Kingambit, and Kingambit was made to be in Trick Room just in case Trick Room does go up. We have a pretty normal Kingambit here with Sucker Punch, Kowtow Cleave, Iron Head, and Swords Dance. They actually have... I thought I had... Or Protect, not Swords Dance. I thought I had Swords Dance instead of Iron Head, but I might be gaslighting myself. Pretty sure... No, I think I did have Iron Head. I mean, I guess I could just check, but... this Kingambit set is... Kingambit's just super popular, and with it being a Kitakami Prologue, where everything is so much less powerful, and they're... Especially being like no Chiyu in the format, Kingambit loves being Terra Dark and just clicking Sucker Punch into things, as well as Kowtow Cleaving thing, Black Glass, just a lot of damage out of Kingambit here. And with the Defiant ability, if our stats did happen to get lowered, we would get a boost. There was Gyarados in this format, so that was a semi-common Intimidate Pokemon being used, so we could get the Defiant boost off of that. Trying to think if there were any other Intimidate Pokemon in this format. I don't think so. But Defiant is just generally a good ability all around. Wrong, it was Tepig. I was one generation off. I wanted to say Tepig, but I thought Tepig was a little bit less mainstream. Oh, sir, I want to do a comparison. What is your comparison? Would you compare base attack of Gallade and Arceus? Alright, we can do that. Let's hop on over to Team Builder. I was already in Team Builder, not sure what I'm doing. Let's go Netdex, and let's add Pokemon, and let's go Arceus. It was legal. And we'll take Gallade. Gallade has an attack stat of 125 base, and Arceus has an attack stat of 120 base. So Glade's attack stat is slightly higher than God. Very neat, very neat. Where were we? But yeah, that's the whole crux of the team. I didn't talk too much about Rocky Helmet on Sinistcha, mostly because it wasn't that effective. I'm trying to think of scenarios where Rocky Helmet came up, but I don't Oh, there was Arcanine in this format. Wasn't there? There was Arcanine, right? I'm pretty sure there was. But anyway, I think I had to catch Flare Blitz with Terrifier at one point in order to win one game from Arcanine. Rocky Helmet was also kind of nice for beating other Ogre Pawns in case I needed to get them into a specific damage range. In Pokemon Black 2, they have the same amount of base attack. Ah, interesting. Fire Farmer, did you see that the PokeClicker Wiki has information on Paldea? I have not been on the PokeClicker Wiki in a hot sec, but I might have to check that out later today if Paldea is coming. I thought it would be Hisui next, but maybe they're moving straight into Paldea. Who knows? I mean, Hisui is also on the PokeClicker Wiki, and they haven't done Hisui yet, but it's always possible. So yeah, that's the Paldea Prologue team, and I want to do a couple of matches real quick, just to kind of show off how I thought this worked. Okay, bit of an unusual team here. We're seeing Ambipom, but we are and Gliscor. I'll just say what I want to make of this. I think I want to bring Glamora and Kingambit to start, because they very much read Ambipom Fake Out to me. But they could also lead Ursaluna. And our best way to beat Ursaluna is with Kammo-o. So I'm going to start Glamora Kammo-o. And we can just bring... Let's bring Kingambit Basculegion in back. Okay, they lead Fezandipiti and Ursaluna. Not bad. I could see us immediately terrestrializing for Energy Ball into Ursaluna. Fezandipiti is probably going to go for a Fairy attack here. So I don't think I would hate just clicking normal Energy Ball into Ursaluna and then clicking Terraflying Iron Defense. All depends how I really need to get through this Fezandipiti, and I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. It could also just click Hyper Voice, which is fine. I really see them terroring here because they probably don't want a fighting type move thrown into their slot from Ursaluna. Or from Kammo-o. I'm gonna protect this turn and see what happens. Okay, no terrestrialization. Ursaluna takes a very heavy hit. But Dazzling Gleam does go off trying to pick up damage on Kammo-o, and Ursaluna tries to get a substitute but fails for it. That's what we love to see. This gives me a pretty free reign to just switch out Kingambit here. Ursaluna going for Protect, and Fezandipiti going for Icy Wind. That's kind of bad for them, because now I have my Defiant boost, and now I can just afford probably just to click Energy Ball, right? Because I should be faster than Ursaluna every time here. And I could just Terra Dark now that they've given me the ×1 in order to guarantee that nothing bad happens to me. Their Fezandipiti could be Choice Scarf, though. So I think in order to shore up that in-game, I'm going to click Energy Ball and a Terra Dark Sucker. Nah, I don't need a Terra Dark right now. I can just Energy Ball and then Sucker into Ursaluna. Okay, and Fezandipiti has Heat Wave, and it crits Kingambit, which is not specifically enticing for me. Okay, now Gliscor is coming in. Again, they haven't Terra'd yet. And Gliscor probably has Poison Heal, right? So if they're going to keep Heat Waving, then I don't really see a problem with me just switching in Kamo, and then clicking Protect on Kingambit this turn. Burn on Kamo would suck. Okay, they go for Earthquake, which does a sizable amount of damage into their own Pheasantipity, but not a very sizable amount of damage into our own Kamo. So, the way I see it is that we can afford to just Terraflying Iron Defense here, and then click Sucker Punch into Gliscor. Because if Gliscor takes enough damage here, we can just afford to KO it with Glimmora now that it's poisoned itself. And if they go for Earthquake, they're just going to KO their own Pheasantipity, so why not just go for Sucker Punch here? They switch out, and Sucker Punch picks up the critical on Gliscor. They'll be forever wondering if that mattered. 100%. And now we're in a pretty good spot, because all they have left is Pheasantipity and Ambipom. And Ambipom, the only thing it can really do is Fake Out and maybe Tail Slap Skill Link for King's Rock Flinch. But I could just... Oh, they actually left. Cool. Now I win by default. Love wins by default. Will you give us a face reveal? I have a face reveal video in the works. Or it's not a face reveal video, but it is a video where I show what my real face looks like. So it's in the works, and it will be worked on whenever I decide to work on it. That's about as honest an answer as I can give, honestly. I really want to know how many people participated in Kitakami Prologue. How do I get out of here? Oh, cool. I got 10,000 league points. I can buy like half a bottle cap now. At least my battle team has been unlocked. I don't really think that crit mattered. I don't know what Gliscor would have gone for there. Maybe Roost. Well, then it would not have gotten Sucker Punched if it was not going for an attacking move, and I was pretty okay with losing Kingambit, because we were still at Basculegion in the back, and Basculegion loves the idea of just clicking Aqua Jet into Gliscor and watching Gliscor's health go down. Weird they gave up without Terastallizing, though. It's kind of strange. I wonder what my outbreaks are today. It's hard to talk. I don't know how people do it all the time. Yo, I have a Toxicroak outbreak. I have an Arrokuda outbreak. That's not bad. I need one of those. What about in Kitakami? I have Spoink. And a Luxio. Okay, kind of weak outbreak day. Oh, we're looking at a sand team here. This is a lot of ground, but 2 rock types. I feel like something has to be building a Scarf, but I'm not sure which one. Something wants to set up Sandstorm and be rude about it. A rude Sandstorm, if you will. We do have Basculegion to just threaten things, but if Sandstorm gets set up, then our Focus Sash is kind of pointless. I think it should be a... I'm hesitant to say a Kingambit opening with all these ground types, but let's go Kingambit Glimmora. And then in back, I want Kamo and... I think Basculegion. I I mean, these are obviously like the main four, and Ogerpon and Sinistar here to help shore up the extra matchups. But we'll see how this goes. Okay, they start Wishcash and Garchomp. They definitely want to Earthquake first, so I think I'm going to Terrestrialize and then click Energy Ball into Wishcash just to get rid of Wishcash. This will allow me to set up my Toxic Spikes for anything that might be... I mean, they have their own Glimmora. The only Pokemon that really helps me, the Toxic Spikes really help me with, is the Sand Slash. So maybe I should just Energy Ball into Garchomp, and then have Kingambit pick up Sucker Punch KO, and then Wishcash, and then Energy Ball Wishcash. I think that's fine. Okay, Energy Ball does over half to Garchomp. They click Iron Head, and they activate my Toxic Debris, and Wishcash does get up the Sand Storm, and we are no longer... Well, we are hurt by it now that we are a Grass type. But I believe that Sucker Punch should be able to pick up KO here, and they should retreat their Wishcash. I think is a smart move. They might be relying on Sand Dodge a little bit here, but I think no matter what they switch into, they should take a good bit of damage. Okay, Sucker Punch does pick up KO on Garchomp. Garchomp was Rocky Helmet. Interesting. Glimmora gets a Spadef drop, though. That's kind of nice. Okay, and now Sand Slash comes in. Sand Slash has to be Sand Rush. There's no other way, which makes its speed 256, right? Which means that I'm slower than the Sand Slash. But what they don't have... I wonder what the move is here. Do I just Sucker Punch the Glimmora, take the fact that Toxic Spikes is going up, and I'm gonna... No, I probably shouldn't do that. Sand Slash is pretty weak. I think the move is just to double up into Sand Slash this turn. Okay, they go Terra Steel, so they are going to live. But they Earthquake their own Glimmora. And Energy Ball picks up... This is why you don't use Sand Slash. Sand Slash is Feral Attack. And all they have left is a Wishcash that they can no longer Terrestrialize. So, yeah, that's going to be a GG. I'm not fussed, but a face reveal... what I want to know is when the next Pokeclicker will be out. I need a little bit more content for the Pokeclicker video. Right now it's like 3/4 of like a full Pokeclicker video. So once I get that last fourth finished up, the next Pokeclicker video will be out. Which I don't know when that's going to be, but it might... Yeah, it's probably within like a couple of weeks or so, I would say at least. That's my guesstimation. Sand Slash is probably the Scarfer. Hard to say. There's not really a reason to Scarf Sand Slash, because if you're going to be setting up Sand for your own Sand Rush, you're pretty much outspeeding everything in the format at that point. I don't know what else would outspeed you other than like things in Tailwind. But yeah, that's why Sand Slash is just not good, because bro died. Bro lost 50% of his health from an Energy Ball. Like, what do you do at that point? You committed your Terra, did not KO either Pokemon on the field, KO'd your own Pokemon, and then got KO'd yourself. That's real play. But we'll do one more. Obviously, these aren't very high ladder rank matches, but I just want to show how the team works by only using 4 out of the 6 Pokemon on the team. No, we should probably use Ogerpon and Sinistra at some point. I mean, I could have used Sinistra there. Sinistra would have done fine. What is this music from? I have Glitch X... I mentioned it before, but I have Glitch X City on in the background because they are great. Oh, this is something that they composed, I think. It's called Summer Rain Instrumental. This is fantastic, as always, Glitch. Tomorrow's Timber Com Day, though, and I'm very excited for Timber Community Day. I'm working on clearing out my box, which I haven't finished yet. I think I'm up to like the middle of Gen 5 in clearing out Pokemon that I don't need from my Pokemon Go account. I've cleared out a pretty good number. I have about like 100 spaces for timbers that I can store or down the line for lucky trades, but I gotta fit because I have like 6,000 Pokemon box storage on my Pokemon Go account, so it takes me a while to go through all of those guys. What is that? There's something in the ground over here. Oh, there's a Bleasel in the ground. Okay. We are also going to be having Decidueye Terra raids today, just because I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything in time before Decidueye Terra raids end tomorrow. And that will pretty much be right after this. And this is taking a while. There's nobody left playing this format. This format was really fun, though. Kitakami Prologue reminds me a lot of Reg B, but instead of having paradoxes, you have Ogerpon and Ursaluna Blood Moon form, and that's it. Those are like the only two paradoxes in the format. But I like Kitakami Prologue a lot. I think I like it a little bit more than Paldea Prologue, just because Paldea Prologue was just instantly so insane, with two super strong box legendary Pokemon. But this is like, nah, you got some old friends, you got some new friends, and you have Ogerpon and Ursaluna Blood Moon form go. Yeah, Glitch is beginning into lo-fi currently. Has a never-ending YouTube stream with her songs playing. That's what we're listening to right now. It's so nice. I love it. Gotta get credit Glitch under every single one of my videos, though, because Glitch's music is just so incredibly top tier. Glitch has gotta be like, she's gotta be in the next Pokemon game. They gotta hire her to do something. They hired Toby Fox. They gotta hire Glitch X City to make a Pokemon track, an official Pokemon track, because it would slap. How do I get Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Mega Stones, and Pokeclicker? So I believe once you beat the league, there will be a Mega Stone shop in Lumio City, and in that Mega Stone shop, you can exchange the gems that you use for powering up type effectiveness to buy the Mega Stones. But if based on the starter that you chose, you should get one of them for free, because I picked Bulbasaur when I was in Kanto, and I got Venusaurite for free. But in hindsight, I could have picked Charizard and then gotten 2 Mega Stones for free. I don't know how that works exactly. Maybe you only get one. But if I had just picked Charizard, I would have gotten 2 Mega Stones for free. That's a speedrun strat right there. Okay, here we go. We have a Mouse Ape team. Okay, this is good, kind of. Snorlax scares me a little bit. The Mouse Ape counter is for me to lead... Oh, I'm lagging a little bit. Okay, I think the lag spike went away. The Mouse Ape counter is for me to lead Basculegion Kingambit? Or, no, Glamora Kingambit. And then we're going to Pokemon and Basculegion back. Now, this time we're not going to do that, specifically because they have 2 normal types. Basculegion doesn't, and Sinistcha. Basculegion really doesn't fare well into this endgame. So we're going to bring Ogerpon this time, because Ogerpon would love it if Ninetales set up Sun. And we're going to see how this goes. Okay, they do their usual Mouse-Ape combo starting strat. Actually, I lied. I 100% should have brought Basculegion. Basculegion is how I usually beat this. Because Basculegion, Aqua Jet, plus Kingambit Sucker Punch should kill every time. And then if the Annihilate kills Kingambit, then I click Last Respects into Annihilate, and that KOs. Because now Kingambit is dead, so Last Respects becomes a 100 base power move. How did I forget that? I mean, I guess it has been some time since I've used this team. Let's kill the mouse. The mouse needs to go. I did not want Annihilate getting its Rage Fist stacks. Kind of like that. It was kind of like it just tried to. That was 100% beat up into Annihilate. And now they might just quit. I would quit. I'd heavily think about it. But now Snorlax has come in, and Snorlax is very culpable to getting Venoshocked. And Annihilate is very culpable to doing whatever the heck it wants because it's Annihilate. So we're going to Protect just in case it tries to Chain Punch. Old King Gambit here, which it does. Snorlax, what are you going to do? You're going to High Horsepower. Okay, that's bad for Glamora, but not a bad turn overall. Okay, Snorlax is a Figgy Berry. Let's start setting up on this, guys. I have Iron Defense. And then it's really anybody's guess what Annihilate wants to do here. Also, if I had Basket Legion, I could just go for Soak into Annihilate, and then Kamo would win the Iron Defense Body Press game. But now I need to keep something alive that can kill Annihilate over time. So I'm just going to switch into Ogre Pond and hope that we don't take that much damage from the Drain Punch. That, I would say that's not much damage. Body Slam, no Para, please. Okay, cool. Poison is slowly ticking that down. We could Dragon Tail away the Annihilate. I think that's very possible, because then it gets poisoned, and then we can effectively ignore it for a while we just click Defense and Spiky Shield. Poison will naturally, because it will be double poison, so it'll be toxic, which means that Drain Punch in no way will heal back as much as it needs to get. So I feel like the safe play, I'm really starting to lag here. Safe play is Iron Defense into, or Body Press into Snorlax, and then Spiky Shield. Okay, Annihilate is bulk upping, and now that we've KO'd Snorlax, we actually cannot Dragon Tail it. Might be a little bit of a mistake on my side, and now Sinistcha has come in to play. We can't we can't Encore it. Wait, yes, we can Encore. We can Encore it into bulk up. That's why we have Encore. Because we are Grass type, we are able to ignore the Rage Powder. And Sinistcha has actually done us a favor terrestrializing into fire, because now we can hit it with Body Press. If my game was... Oh, I'm losing so many frames here. We're going to Body Press into Sinistcha, and then we are going to Horn Leech. Actually, no. We're going to Body Press Sinistcha, and then Ivy Cudgel the Angry Ape. And that picks up the crit, so this game will be over pretty fast, hopefully. Okay, Sinistcha does not die from that, but it does get to Machagacha a little bit of its health back. And that's a GG, and the opponent has forfeited. Okay. So, ideally, what did I have in the back there? I brought... Ogre Pond isn't terrible for an Annihilate matchup, as we just saw. It encores the Ape into bulk upping, and then we just click Ivy Cudgel until we get the crit, because increased crit ratio picks up the crit. If we had Terra Fired there, I think it would have just been over, but I didn't want to Terra Fire because... Well, I don't know why. I guess I could have saved the Terra Flying on Kamo because it would reduce the... No, even that would have made sense, because I can't poison it anymore by switching it out. No, I 100% should have just Terra Fired there. Well, actually, no. Terra Fire would make it so that I get rid of my Grass typing, and then Sinistcha could redirect it with Rage Powder, but that's whatever. How do you get all your shiny legendaries easy? In PokeClicker? Just by playing the game, really. I haven't had to cheat in any of my shiny legendaries. They just kind of happen naturally. Like, if you have Master Balls, and just set it to new, then shiny legendaries just happen. Easy way is just hatch the Pokemon with the Magma Stone and Shiny Charms. True, also hatching is very important. You gotta hatch your legendaries a ton in that game. I've tried that for a while. I wasn't getting a shiny legend, so I put in weak Pokemon and an egg for a challenge to get it done easy, and it was shiny. They always come from the weirdest places. They really do, them shiny Pokemons. But yeah, I feel like this was a pretty good presentation of how the Kitakami Prologue team works. And I am lagging a whole heckin' ton. Is there something that I can do to stop this? Other than closing tabs, because I don't want to close all my extra tabs. I might try refreshing this tab.
Introducing the
I hear an ad for a second or two, though.
Ahsoka Tano Sabers by Art Sabers.
Okay, refreshing this tab did not help. So anywho, our state of play might have to be a little bit shorter than I intended because my computer is lagging so much. But we're gonna go over some teams that I've built for Reg E and what I think does well, what they do well and what they do poorly. Let's start with something that I was fooling around with very early at the start of Reg. I was fooling around with it so early I forgot. I was trying to figure out what move I should put in this slot for Inteleon. But this is something I came up with very early just because there were so many Armarouge and DD teams. This team was made more out of spite by just clicking Snipe Shot into the opposing Armarouge and DD teams and just watching Armarouge die in one hit. Very funny, highly rated team because DD clicks Follow Me and the Armarouge clicks Trick Room or Expanding Force or whatever the heck it wants to do. And Inteleon just ignores the Follow Me with Snipe Shot and KOs the Armarouge. That's pretty much the only thing that this team does well. Other than maybe getting... another idea that I wanted to test was getting Grimmsnarl to be able to set up Volcarona and Sinistra after them getting stat boost, but neither of these Pokemon have been very good stat Pokemon to put stats on. They're mostly just supports. Every once in a while you run into a support that like can take stats really well because it's really tanky, kind of like Cresselia. Like Calm Mind Cresselia is a very real thing that is coming for you. But nah, this team didn't really work out. I thought Inteleon was funny though, but he really doesn't do much for the format unless you're trying to guarantee the crit every time with like, I don't even think Inteleon gets focus energy. It wasn't up there. It's not that, yeah, Inteleon doesn't get focus energy. So Inteleon's not that great. But it was worth a shot at least. Kind of fun to see what works. I'm also just not an DD Armarouge Trick Room player. I don't like it that much. But yeah, I'd give this team like a C rating. Moving in, this is one of my more serious teams for Reg E. This is I want to call it my bundle team, but Bundle really isn't the prominent member on this team. Basically what was happening around this time in the meta is that Tornadus was becoming much less common or much less effective. Like I mentioned before, it's a lot of Trick Room in early Reg E, tearing up the field. So in order to ignore Trick Room going up, I had Pokemon that were very powerful at making sure that never happened, like Chiyu and Fluttermane. And for my speed control, I had Iron Bundle, which was very handy because a lot of things were pretty mid-speed and wanted setup, like the Wolf-Glick Snorlax team that he used for one of the competitions. I don't really know what you would refer to it as other than that, but I did play that with this team in a very important match, and I did win because this team is designed to beat teams like that. I just hired the 2-coin helpers, then leave Pokeclicker running on my stream deck. Yeah, those auto helpers are really nice in Pokeclicker. Super effective. It's such a good addition. Especially since you don't have to have an auto clicker just clicking eggs the entire time, which is basically what you had to do. I also had the Quest Token Breeder going with Magikarp, and I now have 20k Magikarp. That's a lot of Magikarp. A lot of Magikarp. But our bundle's a pretty usual bundle set. You could swap out Encore for Hydro Pump, but I had a Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump doesn't come up that much. Same with Encore. You mostly just want to be freeze drying or icy winding things. Especially with Ogerpon running around, this wasn't super set on which Ogerpon was the best yet. That's why I have Terra Grass. I still think Terra Grass probably works the best on this team. But you could afford to freeze dry the water and the grass one, and the rock was currently the least common, so it wasn't that much to worry about. And even if the rock did appear, you could just click Hydro Pump into it if you decide to terrestrialize, and if it didn't terrestrialize, Chiyu would pick up KO into it with Overheat pretty easily. Once I got off the Icy Wind to lower the Rock Wind's stats. But, very basic bundle set, just very fast, very good bundle set. You could take off some speed, just because you only need max speed for the bundle mirror. The only thing where it's handy, so you could take some speed and put it into HP, but bundle's so frail that it doesn't matter that much. Could just be more ideal in some scenarios. Next up we have Chiyu. Chiyu is a Pokemon that since Reg C, I have always thought about using, but I never saw myself as a Chiyu person, and now we're in Reg E, and I see myself as very much a Chiyu person who just hates missing the heat waves. Chiyu is just so good. With Beads of Ruin, Overheat, you pretty much just pick up KO into any slot that you throw the Overheat into, and you can always switch Chiyu back out. You're pretty much always getting a turn with the Focus Sash item. Very few things can break your Sash. If you're threatening Terra Ghost, nothing wants to fake out into you. And you can always protect even if you have already used your Terra. You can just protect out the fake outs. Very good Chiyu set, and Dark Pulse just shores up your the fact that you're not just doing fire type damage. Sometimes you just miss the heat wave and then you're having a bad day, but yeah, very classic Chiyu set. Next up we have Ogerpon. This Ogerpon is the Teal Mask form, which is the grass only form. To be honest, this feels right, even though it could be optimized a bit more. But max speed with Terra Grass into your whatever your ability is called gives you the speed. So you were outspeed just a lot of things very quickly, especially if like Lando T gives you the Defiant boost. You can just afford to Ivy Cudgel so many things. And with Horn Leech and Stomping Tantrum, you have pretty good healing and type coverage for like Heatran. Doesn't want to take a Stomping Tantrum no matter what. And Spiky Shield, as I mentioned before, is 100% required on every Ogerpon set. 100%. Except for some of them, but like, those are pretty niche sets, like Terra Water. Some of the water ones don't want Spiky Shield because they need more support options. But that's a different topic for another time. And then we have Citrus Berry. I don't know what else item to put on this Ogerpon. I really don't. You could put on, like, Miracle Seed to increase the power of your Grass-type moves. But Citrus Berry did come up a few times in scenarios where something would do, like, a third of my health. And then, instead of it becoming, like, a 3-hit KO, it would become, like, a 4-hit KO with, like, Iron Hand's Drain Punch or something along those lines. Citrus Berry had its usage, and I think Citrus Berry is fine, but could be optimized again. This Grimmsnarl is a bit unusual than most Grimmsnarls that you will see. It is a Terra Ghost Grimmsnarl with Covert Cloak and Prankster, which is pretty regular. But this Grimmsnarl has Spirit Break, Thunderwave, Fake Tears, and Misty Terrain. A lot of Grimmsnarls want to set up Light Screen and Reflect, and then Parting Shot out. My Grimmsnarl is more meant to immediately exert pressure with my special attackers, being Iron Bundle, Chiyu, and Fluttermane. So if I ever did encounter the bundle matchup, my solution was to go for Thunderwave into the bundle and then Freeze Dry with my own bundle to get off as much damage as possible. And just the general speed control feel of having the ability to Thunderwave things was really handy, especially for like other opposing Fluttermanes and Chiyus. Help me win those mirrors more often than not. And Fake Tears, it's just so good. The ability to just double your damage that your special attackers are doing by 2, just by this Pokemon clicking a move, is so valuable. Pretty much makes it so that Cresselia was never a problem because I could just lead Fluttermane and click Fake Tears with Grimmsnarl, and then Cresselia would pretty much lose all of its health unless it terrestrialized into something weird. And Misty Terrain is kind of handy. I think Amoonguss usage has gone down over time. That was one of the main reasons that I had Misty Terrain, was to ignore Amoonguss even more than my team kind of already does with Iron Bundle and Shiyu. Getting most of what Amoonguss wants to Terra into. But Spirit Break is also handy for just lowering special attack of things, getting awesome damage into opposing Flutter Mains. But yeah, very support-based Grimmsnarl. Instead of defense, it's much more offense and speed control based. Next up we have Iron Hands. This is a pretty simple set. There's nothing very complex about this Iron Hands whatsoever. It's just Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch, Heavy Slam. That's pretty much what all Iron Hands run, unless they're like Booster Energy Detect or something. Assault Vest, because duh. Terrifier, because duh. I mean, it could be water, it could be a bunch of other things, but this Iron Hands was definitely meant to help shore up my ability to beat like Hearth Flame, Ogre Pond, or things that would be kind of difficult to beat using my more frail special attackers, because it would be so easy for Ogre Pond to just like turn one Spiky Shield, and then if I wanted to double into that slot that turn, its partner Pokemon can just attack like Flutter Mane, and if I get the call wrong, then things go bad very quickly. Last but not least is Flutter Mane, who's a super generic Flutter Mane set. These EVs do things, I think. I'm not quite sure what. Actually, these might be completely random EVs I came up with at one point, and then gaslit myself into believing that they did things. But like, it's pretty good. We have Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast, and Icy Wind. This is like a usual specs set. Sometimes instead of Icy Wind, they'll have like Power Gem. Just very usual Flutter Mane set here. And this team worked really well for a while. I liked it a lot. It won me an important match that I had to play pretty easily, as I had mentioned. It does really well against mid-speed teams, which were really popular at the time. And so yeah, I think these bunch of lads did really well. Now we're moving into... Then we moved into Kitakami Prologue, which we already went over. And now we're going to start discussing things as they currently are with Reg E. So, based on Peoria Regionals, I think that's how you say that place's name, Peoria. Based on Peoria Regionals, we saw a lot of the same team compositions make it out into day 2, but I felt like the core to beat was always going to be... We're lagging a tiny bit, but the core to beat was going to be Flutter Mane, Shiyu, Iron Hands, and Landorus. They're like the new core 4 Pokemon that pretty much summarize everything going on in the format right now. And of course, Ogerpon is like a... Yeah, I have Ogerpon here as like the 5th Pokemon in the core. But really, it's like these 4 Pokemon are running the world right now. And you pretty much have to have... For a Pokemon to be competitively viable in Reg E, it has to have a way to reliably stand up against 2 out of 4 of these Pokemon in order to be considered good. So we have like Iron Hands, which will lose to Flutter Mane and Landorus, but it has ways to get around that. Like if you Terra, you can just Heavy Slam Flutter Mane and Shiyu, so that's why Iron Hands is here. Shiyu helps increase the damage, and based on the Landorus set, you can just click Overheat into Landorus and do massive damage, as well as sometimes being able to click enough Fire-type damage into Iron Hands, again based on the Terra. And then you can boost up your own Flutter Mane, so that's pretty much why Shiyu is here. Flutter Mane is just so fast, or so special attack, so hard hitting, so cool. But Flutter Mane beats Iron Hands, beats Landorus, beats Shiyu, you can even argue more often than not. It's just barely frail, so if your Landorus, if your Choice Specs and the Landorus is Choice Scarf, then that Landorus is always going to beat your Flutter Mane. But Flutter Mane, just all around good Pokemon. Cannot complain about a Flutter Mane. And then we have Landorus, who, as I mentioned, can beat Iron Hands, Shiyu, and if it's Choice Scarf, can beat Flutter Mane. It can also lower the attack of things to make the other Pokemon on your team, like Flutter Mane and Shiyu, live hits that previously it wouldn't. but that is a double-edged sword with Defiant Pokemon running around, which we'll talk about here in a sec. But it's Stomping Tantrum, U-Turn, Rock Slide, and Terra Blast is what you usually see on a Landorus. My current run, I don't really care about shiny since I had turned off click damage. Ooh, that's fun. Ever tried a double Spiky Shield into Stomping Tantrum? I don't really think I've ever seen a point in a game where that was important to do that. I think I would rather just click Stomping Tantrum twice rather than fail the Spiky Shield on purpose. But I could definitely see endgames where that would be important to try and go for the second Spiky Shield, and then if your opponent doesn't KO you, you could get the Stomping Tantrum, but yeah, I can definitely see it happening. I don't think I've ever gone for it, but it's definitely a viable way out of some endgames. Next we have Ogerpon. Ogerpon, as we've just said so many times, it's just so strong. But the strongest one right now is Hearthflame Mask. Just because you get the attack boost when you Terra Fire, and your Mold Breaker, so your Ivy Cudgel ignores the Flash Fire of other Pokemon or other abilities that would allow you to not be hit by Ivy Cudgel. Just so strong. I mean, there's like a calc where max attack Ogerpon in Sun will like always OHKO Cresselia, which is insane. I hate Cresselia, but I know how bulky Cresselia is. And that thing is not supposed to die in one hit ever. Ever to a neutral hit. Specifically, of course, it can die to like a special super effective hit, but Cresselia is not supposed to die to neutral hits. That's the big thing about Cresselia. So, yeah, you just put Sword Stance on your Ogerpon. If you get a free turn while you're fake outing with your Iron Hands, you Sword Stance, and then Woodhammer or Horn Leech. Both are pretty different, but both can be handy. Ivy Cudgel, Spiky Shield. Ivy Cudgel and Spiky Shield are on, like, not... Ivy Cudgel is on every Ogerpon. Spiky Shield is on, like, 90% of Ogerpon. Just because it's protect but better, as we always said. As we have always said. And the last Pokemon that I put on to talk about the Reg E state of top Pokemon is just Kingambit. Because Kingambit was super popular. It's been popular in pretty much every format, all the way from Reg A to Reg E. But I think we're especially seeing an uptick in Kingambit usage, since there's no longer Pokemon like normal Ursaluna who can just click Earthquake or Facade and just tank Kingambit's hits. Now we're seeing Kingambit shift to where it's not carrying Steel-type moves, and rather it just chooses to go Sucker Punch, Kowtow Cleave, Sword Stance, Protect, Black Glasses, which is pretty similar to what I had on my Kitakami Prologue team, but I would call this Kingambit like the Luca Paz Kingambit, where it just focuses solely on offense and not so much defense. And because it's so slow, you can put a Kingambit on your team just to make sure you're not getting out-tricked roomed whenever you have these Pokemon that, other than Iron Hands, like to be fast, especially Ogerpon. And the Sucker Punch is just so handy whenever you get it. Whenever you get things within Sucker Punch range, and you have to know your calcs for Sucker Punch range, but once you get things into Sucker Punch range, you just start winning endgames. It's very good, and Defiant helps you, not Kingambit, Landorus with Intimidate gives you the Defiant boost with Kingambit. So I feel like this is the strongest team that you could create now, minus EVs. You could put EVs in different places and they would all do different things, and those would all be fantastic. But this is like the ideal team to beat in my head, which is where we're going to start going into teams that I either stole or goofed around with. Starting with a team that I stole and then made into a slightly different team. This is a Dondozo team. I think Dondozo is in a very good spot right now, since it pretty much has favorable matchups into all four of Fluttermane, Shiyu, Landorus, and Iron Hands. Because Dondozo gets Tatsugiri inside, and then Fluttermane isn't doing enough special damage. You just hit a Fluttermane with one physical move and it dies. Chiyu, in order to be getting off its fire type moves that are strong enough to kill it, Dondozo has to terrestrialize into something. So if Dondozo doesn't do that, you're pretty much always picking up KO into Chiyu with like Wave Crash, or like even 2 order ups to increase your attack even further. Landorus could lower its attack if it wasn't Oblivious, but Oblivious allows you to ignore Intimidate, which makes it so that Dondozo clicks Wave Crash into yet another thing and watches it die. And then Iron Hands is also really strong into Dondozo if you can get enough Wild Charge damage off, but usually Dondozo is able, especially if your Terra is correct, or Terra is good enough to resist Electric, then you can just be clicking Order Up into Hands and it will die in like 3 turns of you messing around with it. This one is especially Rocky Helmet, which helps with Iron Hands a lot. And then even against... Sorry, I need water. Okay. And then even against Ogerpon, if you're water, Ogerpon wants to click Ivy, or not Ivy Cudgel. It does not want to click Ivy Cudgel into you, because even though that is the move that crits, both fire and water will be resisted by your base water typing, and then rock is just neutral, and then grass is super effective. But grass is probably one of the least popular in Day 2 Peroria. Was Peroria regional? I think it was a regional. Not an international, but Peroria regional. Didn't see very many Teal Mask Ogerpon, so that wasn't much of a worry for this Dondozo. Especially once you Terra Dragon, then you're resisting all 3 Ivy Cudgels, which is good because that's the move that crits you and then kills you instantly. Or you just get super unlucky on other moves. But the original Dondozo had Earthquake, but this one I gave it Heavy Slam. And going back on it, I think Earthquake is better. Earthquake is better spread. Allows you to deal with things a little bit easier, because you're hitting 2 things on the field at the same time, and if you're ordering up, then you're advancing your endgame a lot quicker, because less things can just click Protect in order to stall you out. Because this Dondozo has no recovery, so all the damage that you do to it is going to stick. Oh, we're having a bit of a lag sesh right here. But Dondozo, I think, is a very good Pokemon right now, just because there's specifically not a lot of Dondozo counters. Like, there used to be Haze Palafin, Haze Chenpao, which sometimes get run in order to counter Dondozo, Clear Smog, Amoonguss. Pretty much none of those things exist right now, which is really good to let Dondozo shine. And I think Dondozo is a really good spot to start building a team and then build good things around it. That's what I'm assuming Alexander Page saw whenever they were building this team. They went for Urshifu Dark, which is very good for the mirror on Dondozo. It's probably the strongest thing that you can use to beat Dondozo. It's just Choice Banded Wicked Blow, because you ignore the stat boost from the defense from Commander. And then Tornado's speed control has definitely upticked since the start of Reg E, and is pretty necessary. I think I just mostly threw random EVs onto these Pokemon because I didn't. Yeah, I mean, Chiyu doesn't even have EVs at his level 100. But this is pretty basic Chiyu, pretty basic Fluttermane, pretty standard Urshifu and Tornadus, except Tornadus is Terra Water, which I didn't get at first. But when I thought about it, water makes a lot of sense, because you don't want to be catching Chenpao Ice Spinner like right away if your opponent leads Chenpao, because if your opponent clicks like Terra Ghost and you click Coast Combat and you're Choice Banded, then Chenpao is free to just click Sacred Sword into the Urshifu slot, or Ice Spinner into your Tornadus spot, and if your opposing Tornadus taunts you, you also don't have taunt. So things get kind of awkward. Because you have both weathers. Rain Dance is useful for Dondozo's Wave Crashes, and Sunny Day is useful for Fluttermane and Chiyu to start off the game. for speed and power, respectively. So I took this, and I don't think I actually changed that much, except I just shuffle around the EVs to things that I knew were good. Like this Dondozo having max Spadef was definitely something that I knew that I wanted, and 172 speed at least allows you to outspeed specific things in Tailwind once you get the commander off. And then I wanted my Fluttermane to live things like Chen Pao Sucker Punch. That's just slight changes that I made. I mean, it might actually not be that different from what the original team creator created, but nobody knows what the EVs are, so it's out in the water. But I thought this was a pretty good team. It was what I was practicing with for a long time, but I think I'm going to give up on Dozo for now, at least. Those some good-looking teams. Thank you, Crumbling Sanity. I appreciate it a whole ton. Some of them are mine, and some of them I just decided to steal. This one is mine, sadly. This was a goof team that I just grabbed Cleavor, and then fooled around with some things that I wanted to experiment with a little bit. Mostly being Rillaboom and Heatran. And I wanted to see if Cleaver would work out to do anything. Cleaver doesn't work out to do anything right now in Reg E. There's really no point in having Cleaver. But it was kind of funny. Basically, Stoneaxe is 90% accurate, and does not have as much base power as I thought it did. So this was my first time using Cleaver, and I can see why nobody uses Cleaver is because Cleaver just doesn't have... Like, you have a weakness to Fake Out and Intimidate with Cleaver, and both of those things are just bad. It allows Cleaver to get teamed up on so easily. I also wanted to play with Milotic a little bit. And Milotic's like, okay. I get why Milotic has a place on some teams, but it's definitely not a Pokemon that you should grab for your first 3 Pokemon while team building. Probably like a 4th or 5th Pokemon. But it's alright. I assume you gotta be very careful that you're not defining things. And then we just have like regular Tornadus, regular Ogerpon working together, Grassy Glide, so you need Rillaboom, and then Heatran shores up your Fire, Water, Grass core, and that's the basic idea. But this team doesn't work. I gave up on this team within like a day. And then I don't want to show the EVs on this last team because I know I have some friends who are actually, the friend that I took this from is probably going to use it pretty soon. So I'm gonna hide this for a sec and then pull up an open team sheet version of this team. Upload PokePaste open team sheet. Okay, cool. And now we're back. So the basis for this team was that we wanted a Fire, Water, Grass core and also a Steel, Fairy, Dragon core. Yeah, that's what it is. A Steel, Fairy, Dragon core. Those are the 3 most common cores, and we felt pretty confident about Kamo-O in the space currently, just because Kamo-O, once it Terra Fires, it deals pretty well into taking hits from Fluttermane, and then releasing hits back once it gets off its Clangorous Soul into pretty much everything in the format. Kamo feels really good. Probably, I wouldn't have Bulletproof. I think Bulletproof is only useful for Shadow Ball and ignoring Fluttermane, but like Soundproof ignores so many more things. So I probably would have Soundproof on this Kamo. But Ogre's, this is pretty normal stuff. This Ogerpon is a little bit more defensive because it's Follow Me, Terra Water Ogerpon with the Wellspring Mask. And then this King Gambit is a little bit different than my normal King Gambits with the Luca Paz King Gambit. This King Gambit is Terra Fairy and has Kowtow, Cleave, Sucker Punch, Terra Blast, and Iron Head. because we wanted to run the Assault Vest on King Gambit in order for it to take a little bit more hits from other things in the format. And Hisuian Arcanine was another big Pokemon that I wanted to add to this team for Intimidate use. And the Life Orb helps out a lot. Helps out pick up specific KOs. Makes Extreme Speed a lot more valuable, because instead of having to be like Goggles and then Terra Normal, you can afford to be Terra Dragon. And Terra Dragon is super popular right now because pretty much everything that counters Flutter Mane in some way, you want to be Terra Dragon for the Ogerpons. So if you normally take the Flutter Mane hit in a way that causes Flutter Mane to just go Shadow Ball into you, you want a Terra Dragon. Have a Terra Dragon. And Rillaboom just helps sit the grass, which makes Kamo and King Gambit stay around for longer on grassy terrain. Also gets rid of Psychic Terrain. And just pretty normal Rillaboom moves. But yeah, this is a team that I stole from my friend Owen. Shout out to Owen Dog, if he ever sees this somehow. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. I had an important match with this team that was really close. So I did lose that match, though, in the third game. But it was a very close game. This is Hyrule Castle. Alright, let's take a second to look at chat. Looks interesting, to be honest, that Life Orb Heatran, though. I feel like Life Orb is the most common item on Heatran right now. Because you just need the damage from Heatran in order to actually exert influence on Ogerpon. Actually, because Sharpness damage of Stone Axe is much more. Yeah, I know. It's just that Stone Axe, it just makes it like 90, a little bit above 90. But to be running King Gambit, it just doesn't. The attack stat itself isn't that high, like high enough on King Gambit and not King Gambit, Cleaver, and Cleaver's just too frail to be worth it. But I thought it was at least worth giving a shot. Yeah, Bulletproof does ignore Shadow Ball and stuff like Focus Blast. Yeah, there haven't been that many Focus Blast users. I think Soundproof is a little bit more useful because you ignore Parting Shot and Hyper Voice and other clanging scales from other combos. But Bulletproof just makes you super hard to be killed by Flutter Mane. So let's make an entirely new team based on what we've been thinking about, and I want to see how it goes. So what Pokemon does really well into the entire format right now? Or maybe just the Core 4. Core 4, I could definitely see Water type coming into play, because Water type helps you beat Chi-Yu and Landorus unless they terrestrialize into something, and if your Water type is strong enough physically, then that means that you can have a good matchup in their Flutter Mane, and then we can have other things to help us worry about Iron Hands. But some of the biggest Water types right now, as we mentioned previously, are Dondozo, who's super good. Let's actually just organize by type and see what we have in terms of water right now. I say Azumarill isn't out of the running. Let's go down the list. I would use Basculegion, but I feel like Basculegion is in a spot where it has to have Swift Swim in order to be good, and I really don't want to run a rain team yet. I mean, maybe it could be good with, like, Ogerpon, Wellspring Mask, but then I guess two water types isn't necessarily bad. It just doesn't exert much. It's hard to exert pressure with two water types when an opposing Wellspring Mask could come in and just be water absorbed to soak up the hits, literally. Kind of wish I had gotten into doubles early on, because singles is just kind of lame to me. Yeah, I used to be a singles person, but ever since I've started going to actual in-person events and playing doubles, I'm 100% a full doubles person. Doubles is just so much more fun. Like, I get why people play singles, but I'm kind of past singles at this point. I don't have time to be looking at OU metas, worrying about things getting banned. I just have to worry about things that are insanely overpowered and push out everything that we previously existed, aka Reg C to Reg D. Oh, what other water types do we have? We have Empoleon, who's not a physical attacker, but at least worth thinking about. Floatzel is... it's another Swift... I already said no to Basculegion because of Swift Swim. I probably have to say no to Floatzel because of Swift Swim. Gastrodon is interesting, but if I'm going to be running Storm Drain Pokemon, I think I'd rather just have Water Absorb with Wellspring Mask. Because Gastrodon, with so many Ogerpon running around, it's just... I don't think it's just worth the slot right now. Greninja's kind of funny, but it's also a little frail. Like, a lot of frail. So we're going to turn down that. Gyarados is just a weaker Intimidate Pokemon. And, you know what? Actually, going into Reg C, I did say the same thing about Gyarados. That it was just a weak Intimidate Pokemon. And then Gyarados got really popular towards the middle of Reg C. Because of its matchup into stuff like Palafin. So I'll put Gyarados on the chopping block. Inteleon, already have been down that road. Bundle is not as great because there's Tornadoes running around everywhere that just tailwind everything into being faster than Bundle, so I'm going to say no to Bundle. Lumineon and Love Disc are funny jokes. Milotic, I've already been over Milotic, and I don't think I'm a Milotic person right now, so I'm just going to say no to Milotic, as well as the Ogerpon Wellspring Mask. We'll put it up there. We'll put it up there. Palafin. I have seen some teams. There were some teams in Reg D that would run Palafin. And I'm not really sure how I would build it. I had build teams in Reg C with Palafin on it, and those did fine. But ever since Reg D, it's a lot harder to justify running Palafin. So I think I'm going to hard pass on Palafin this turn. Then we have our Rain Setters, which I did not realize both started with the letter P. Huh. As I said before, I don't really want to run a Rain team. I'm more looking for something that can consistently do well against Chiyu and Fluttermane. And be a decent water type. So that's another Poliwrath, Quagsire, Quidquavel, Coolfish, Rotom Wash. What do I think about Rotom Wash? I think Rotom Wash is not worth it right now. Rotom Wash was good in Reg A when it was like one of the Will-O-Wisp supporters. I'm trying to think about what really keeps Rotom Wash from getting off the ground. I think it just takes too much damage from Chiyu and Fluttermane combo. I think we'll leave it at that. I mean, HP stat of 50 is not that great. Hisuian Samurai is a Pokemon that I want to use so bad, and I've not had a time to ever use it. And I don't know if that'll be now, but I'm going to put it on the list at least. I'm going to go and I'm make a new team, new format, and let's look at the rest of the water types. Slope or Slowking are both Gnaw. Swanna is an extra Gnaw. Tatsugiri would just mean Dondozo, unless you're crazy or you're running Storm Drain, in which case probably still no. Tauros Aqua for me. Slower than Ogerpon, but it is an Intimidate user. And you are faster than Landorus? Raging Bull would break screens. There is a lot of Alolan Ninetales gaslighting themselves into believing that they're good. But as easy as it for me to click Raging Bull, it's even easier for the Alolan Ninetales to click Freeze Dry into the Tauros slot and kill it instantly. So I'm going to say no on Tauros. Toxapex, I could see being on some niche teams, but not mine. I don't want to touch Toxapex right now. Urshifu Rapid Strike. If there was a Pokemon to ever be put on a water-type physical slot, it would be Urshifu Rapid Strike. Whoops, I need to select water again. Vaporeon is a Veluza. Nah, this thing's too slow. Even if... Here, let me finish up the moveset. With like... You get Night Slash. The Leaf Blade. You have Normal Slash. You have Normal Slash. Even if I was to run this with a Choice Scarf, you're not... Let me do a math real quick. Yeah, you're not outspeeding Fluttermane. Even you're not outspeeding max speed Fluttermane, which is like, why run a Choice Scarf if you're not outspeeding Fluttermane without any speed boosting at all? Sorry, Veluza, but that's a no. You were worth at least a funny thought. I'll give you that. And pretty much... Walking Wake is not legal. Wishcash and Wugtrio are both jokes. Okay, so we really have 7 water attackers that we could look at. It's that and the fact that you have people that just love to play Stall all the time, and it's like they don't know how to play anything else. Yeah, Stall is the worst. I mean, even in doubles, there during like Reg A through C, there would be a good bit of Stall with Garganacl. And the whole strategy would just be to terrestrialize Garganacl and then click Salt Cure into things until they die. And then complain on turn 30 whenever you get crit or Fissured. I miss Fissure. Fissure into like tanky things like Garganacl and Dondozo was 100% warranted. But Fissure into just random things like Bundle was just not cool. Like, I like Fissure into things whenever the formats become too tanky. And that's what Terra felt like for the longest time, was just a way to become really tanky. Defensively. But I'd say as the time has gone on, we've seen a lot more Pokemon taking effective, like Urshifu just clicking Terra Water or Rapid Strike. Or Surging Strikes. To get rid of a lot of the stall. And now we have Ogerpon too, which helps get rid of a lot of the stall. Old Ninetales? Oh man, don't even get me started. Like, I honestly think the Aurora thing, that mod is so freaking brainless, and I find it hilarious the amount of people that would complain when they end up losing. Yeah, the buff to Snow definitely makes Alolan Ninetales like the most powerful Ice-type Pokemon right now. Besides maybe like Chien-Pao. But Chien-Pao has become, I feel like, less prominent. Actually, maybe it's about the same spot. It's become... Chien-Pao has higher usage on teams that are not thought the fully way out. Because I believe Chien-Pao's usage was very high during day 1 of Peroria, but it was not even in the top 10 during day 2 of Peoria, which was very interesting to see. But a lot of Ninetales with the defense boost, there's not even like any, like some teams are running some teams run Rain, like Pelipper, and those do all right. And some teams have Tornadoes with Weather on it in order to set up the Ogre Ponds with Rain Dance or Sunny Day to get rid of Ninetales. But honestly, other than setting up Aurora Veil, or maybe being like a surprise Choice Specs Blizzard set, Ninetales doesn't feel like it does that much for me. Or against me, even. But who knows? I might put it on a team somewhere towards the end of this format, whenever this format ends. Seven water types. Okay, we're gonna call it the obvious thing, which is that Empoleon and, well, I guess just Empoleon. Empoleon is not a physical attacker, so it doesn't fulfill the role that I'm looking for it to do. So I'm going to take out Empoleon and add Urshifu into this slot. And I'm just going to delete this extra team. So I feel like these are the 6 water types that you could justify running right now in Reg E in some way, shape, or form. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each one. Pro of using Dondozo is that if you have Tatsugiri, you get a Super Dondozo. And Super Dondozo is very good right now, as I've already discussed. Super Dondozo has a lot of options, whether it be just running Wave Crash, Order Up, Earthquake. You could also have some status moves in here, maybe like Yawn or Rest or something that would keep you on the field for a really long time. Substitute, just a lot of good things that make you very tanky and allow you to deal with maybe 2 Pokemon before they can KO you. And then you can make it a 3v2 with Tatsugiri and something else in the back. Like if you led Tornadus at the start and let Tornadus die, you could have like Tatsugiri and Chiyu to end the game. That's perfectly fine. Downsides of using Dondozo, though, is that Dondozo counters might go up. And there's definitely a lot of teams that just have so much damage right now that they don't really care about Dondozo's defenses too much, because you can only get like 1 KO before they KO your Dondozo, and then your Tatsugiri is just sitting there, free to take a hit when Dondozo is going down, because Tatsugiri didn't get to select a move this turn. So it's a bit of risk reward, but I could see it being run on a team, 100%. Azumarill is probably the second hardest one to justify, but we'll get into that in a sec. Being huge is pretty huge for Azumarill, but Intimidate is everywhere, which makes it very hard to be Azumarill. You could be Belly Drum if you had enough time to get off the Belly Drum and enough healing to survive the turn as Azumarill. I think the only thing that really keeps you from doing that right now is Iron Hands. Maybe Fluttermane with a high enough damage Shadow Ball neutral hit, but it's worth thinking about. It's worth thinking about. Gyarados is probably the third weakest. Or it's like one right here. Let me rank them in my head right now of how good they are. Like first to last. Yeah, okay, this is pretty much the ranking of how good I think they are. Azumarill's in this spot because Huge power just isn't enough right now. It needs something else in order to get enough damage. And that's probably just clicking belly drum and praying that something happens. But that's a big if. But Gyarados, as I said before, it's an Intimidate user with... Normally, you just have, like, Waterfall, Thunder Wave... Not Thunder, Thunder Wave. Taunt. And... I want to say Protect, but I think Protect is not worth running, but for something else? I don't remember what that something else is, though. Oh, Gyarados has Scald right now. That's kind of interesting. Do you really have Scald? Huh, if you're not going to be running damage on Gyarados, Scald is... I feel like it's more worth it than Waterfall. Because less things are building up their special defense. And 30% chance to burn. Hard to say, hard to say. What else would Gyarados want? Maybe Substitute. Maybe. There's not much Amoonguss going around, so it's not that worth it. But Gyarados is hard to put on a team. It would definitely have to be like a third or fourth Pokemon. I'd much rather just have Landorus, but if there's going to be the Ogre Pond mask running around, like Terra Water and Terra Fire, Gyarados resists both of those, while Landorus does not. Landorus can just super effectively hit one of them and then get super effectively hit by the other one. And that's if you haven't locked into Terra Flying. Well, if you lock into Terra Flying, Terra Blast, then you could beat both of them if they don't Terra, but they probably do Terra. And with that, Fishman, Balooza, or whatever you call it, has a particular move called Fillet Away. The boost attack, special attack, and speed +2, but you still have to give up half your HP. Yeah, it's kind of like Shell Smash. It's not a very good move, but it does exist, but it's just kind of meh. Especially in doubles, you don't want to be giving up half your health during the turn, because you'll just get KO'd. That would be kind of neat to use, and people wouldn't be expecting Scald anyway. Well, the format that I'm talking about right now is just open team sheet. I think if you built your Gyarados tanky enough, you could have, like, Scald Hurricane. And if you were on a rain team, it wouldn't be the worst. You wouldn't want... If you were Thunder Waving, you wouldn't want Scald, though, because that interferes. I don't know what this set would look like. Maybe, like, Terra Blast, Terra Ground. Or Terra Dragon, actually. I did mention how Dragon is getting popular. Water Flying and Dragon can hurt everything except for Steel types that have some other kind of type, but there's no Steel Grass types. I'll think about it. This is a very interesting Ogerpon counter. Because I don't even have to Terastallize to be resistant to fire and water, but I'm neutral to grass type moves. Which both Ogerpons, all the Ogerpons would have. Your special attack stat isn't that, actually, your special attack on Gyarados is pretty low. It would be hard to justify damage on Gyarados with special. I think I'm just gonna make it physical and then think about it later. I'll keep Terra Blast, because why not? I've already talked about Azumarill. Let's go to Samurott, who I feel like is the weakest Pokemon of the 6 just because it's dark, so it's weak to Fluttermane and Iron Hands. Especially Iron Hands. I don't know what you would put on Samurott in order to get it to beat Iron Hands consistently. You would have to, like, bait it into Terroring and then hope that its Terra is something that you can hit. Be like Aqua Cutter, Aqua Jet, Ceaseless Edge, and Protect. Or instead of Protect, we slot on knockoff? And go Assault Vest. Terra, Poison. It'd have to be Poison. We'd need this to resist the grass. And you can't go Dragon because you'd still be weak to Fairy. That's a big no. And Poison also lets you resist the fighting. It'd have to be Terra. It would have to look something like this. Probably, maybe not knockoff. You pick something else. But I feel like Samurott is the weakest one. Just because of how mid it is, especially in terms of speed. Special attack is very high though. But I don't think you would want your special attack to be used here. Spadef is so mid. Samurott's just the hardest one that I see slotting onto a team, even though I think it would probably be the most fun one to use. It would take a really long time for me to consider what this Samurott would even be paired up with. Because even if I wanted a dark type, I would probably just pick King Gambit, or Chiyu, or Chien-Pao, or something else. But the water typing at least makes it kind of stand out. Yeah. Ogre Pawn. Ivy Cudgel. Horn Leech. Probably follow me for water. And then Spiky Shield. And random tank, but no speed. Or some speed, at least. Some speed. Random tank. It's not going to beat Iron Hands ever. Yeah. Like, water type moves would do some damage, but you're probably not. It depends if you're Tailwind or their Tailwind or whatever, but it's probably going before you. And even if you Terra Poison, it still clicks Wild Charge into you for a lot of damage. Even though Aqua Cutter deals a lot of damage into it. And if it's like Terra Fire Iron Hands, then you're chilling. But if it's Terra Grass or Water, then you're not chilling. But Ceaseless Edge is interesting because you get to break sashes on things like Chien-Pao, and it can maybe contribute to, like, it can contribute to damage calcs in some way that you could figure out, but I don't think I have enough time to figure out damage calcs for those specific kind of things. You could encore it into something like Sword Stance, or what is SW? Sword Stance. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that just seems more like a singles mod, especially since right now the best thing it's used for is more hyper offense teams plus Goldango and singles. Yeah. And Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, Follow Me, Spiky Shield. Just a very dense Ogerpon, who you don't really need the speed for because the other two Ogerpon forms are neutral until you terrestrialize, in which case they're going to hit you with grass very hard. But hopefully you've used another Pokemon to deal with the Ogerpon so that your Ogerpon can succeed on its own. This Ogerpon doesn't really hurt Steels, though. Steels or Dragons are difficult. But then we come with Urshifu Rapid Strike, who's the golden boy. Urshifu is the golden boy. Urshifu gets to do things like click searching strikes and Aqua Jet and close combat. And then you can be Scarf if you want. You can also be Sash, but a lot of them were Scarf. In order to outspeed Fluttermane outside of Tailwind. But Searching Strikes, Aqua Jet, close combat, and I think U-turn makes the most sense. Maybe Poison Jab. U-turn to leave. Very handy. So, that's every water-type Pokemon that I could think of being at least somewhat handy for me in terms of attack. What do you drink? Hi, BTW Video Games, how you doing? Thanks for coming out. Doesn't Ogerpon get superpower though? It does, but it's hard to justify coverage moves whenever you want more utility. Like, you always need Ivy Cudgel and Spiky Shield, and if you're not the Grass Ogerpon, then you want a Grass type move, being Horn Leech. So instead of like Follow Me, you could be superpower. It's not very common, but sometimes you could go for the coverage move. You also have like Play Rough. U-turn? Yeah, you have U-turn. But usually on, especially the water one, you want more utility moves instead of coverage moves. Just because your water and grass moves are already doing so much. It's better to have other Pokemon to deal with like Steel and Dragon types, rather than trying to get your Ogerpon to do everything. But it is possible. Saw Fire when he was playing Pokemon Legends Arceus. Yeah, we do that sometimes. Still a good game? Oh yeah, 100%. Love Pokemon Legends Arceus, just running around and catching shiny Pokemon. Sending them over to Scarlet and Violet whenever I can. Super fun times. Much more fun than just popping a sandwich and then running around for 2 minutes until I find a Pokemon that looks slightly different. Pokemon Legends Arceus at least a little bit more, I don't want to put it, it's a little bit more active to shiny hunt in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Ogerpon is overpowered. The fire one, I'd say all of them are overpowered. Here, let me go into a new team. There was a Wolfglick video about this today, about all the Ogerpons, which I mostly agree with, but I'll just summarize the important points. Which is that the Ogerpon ranking probably goes, whoops. fire, and then water, and then teal mask, and then rock. This is probably the ranking. Fire is just so good in attack. Ogerpon is water is just so good in defense and utility. Ogerpon is just has defiant, and you can pick whatever item you want. Even though the masks are probably the best item that Ogerpon could hold. If you want to go for just plain grass, then that's a fine choice. Get something like Citrus Berry or Covert Cloak or whatever you want. And then you get the speed whenever you terrestrialize, which is very handy. And Ogerpon Rock is here. It's one of the choices that you can make. Probably the least. Well, actually, no, because based on the results from Peoria, grass is actually the least common one. Rock, at least, was used more common than the grass one, which is still hard for me to comprehend. I mean, I guess it's different based on whatever team you build, but this is pretty much the ranking of Ogerpons that I think a lot of people agree with. I haven't tried them all out, but it makes it worse when you can get a boost from some of these with the Terra stuff going on. Yeah, the Terra boost is a bit insane in the membrane. At least you lose your ability, though, so it's easier to, like, intimidate the grass one, for example, to reduce its ability to deal damage, or you can bring in a Pokemon that has an ability, like Flash Fire Heatran. If you terrestrialize your Ogerpon too early, you can no longer Ivy Cudgel into Heatran. Ogerpon Water doesn't lose too much from losing Water Absorb, other than if you're Follow Me, then you're no longer healing from having a Water type move dealt into you. You're just have your SPDF increased. But yeah. Only bad one of Ogerpon is the rock one. I wouldn't even say the rock one is bad, it's just not as good as the other three. Like, if they created the rock Ogerpon all by itself and the other three didn't even exist in this current meta, I still think that rock Ogerpon would be great, and there would be tons of sand teams running around with rock Ogerpon as one of the staple mons on it. But because the other three exist, it looks bad by comparison. I would have thought the regular grass one would be the worst. That is kind of the consensus. It's hard to... The grass one and the rock one are kind of going back and forth, which I don't really get. I think the grass one is better than the rock one. But the usage of Pokemon in the actual competitions, being Peoria regional... The regionals that happened on the October 9th, based on those regionals, or no, it wouldn't have been the 9th. The Pokemon regionals that happened last weekend, based on the data collected from the regionals that happened last weekend, grass, I don't think a single Teal Mask Ogerpon made it to day 2, but there were a few rock, or, I don't remember, just the rock mask. There were a few rock masks that made it through to day 2. So statistically, the rock one is better than the grass one. I don't really agree with that, though. I feel like the grass one... I feel like rock just has a useless ability, and terrestrializing into rock just seems worthless. Because then you're taking super effective damage from the other three Ogerpon's grass-type moves, which just does not feel like it should be worth your time, as well as super effective fighting-type damage, super effective other forms of water-type damage. Just hard to say. Still need more water. Wait, no, I have more water. Never mind. I'm going to make a team in 20 minutes. And then I'm going to play one match with it, and based on how that match goes, I will adjust my team later on, but I do want to get into actual Terra Raid battles. So I'm going to start deleting Pokemon. You're not coming. I'm very hesitant to just get rid of Dondozo. Gyarados, I'm just getting rid of you. I don't really want to use those Pokemon, even though I'm sure they can help me out. If I change the team in some way that they can't help me out, I'll just fix it later, but I really don't see myself using those guys. I really want to use Samurott, but it's probably just because it's just a one-night fling kind of thing. Sorry, Samurott. And then there were 3. The Dozo, the bear, and that's what the whole point of the mask is. I kind of want to play... This is a tricky pick. Because I did use Wellspring this week, but Wellspring doesn't feel like my playstyle. I just want Hearthflame. And I have Hearthflame built already. So now my question is, do I even want a water type at all? Yeah, I just thought the rock one would be much better, at least offensively, because the grass one just doesn't seem to do anything offensively, unlike the other Ogerpon forms. I would say it's more the speed boost that makes the offensive power happen. Because grass Ivy Cudgel isn't bad. You pick up a lot of neutral hits into, like, Fluttermane, Non-Terra Landorus, Iron Hands. It's just there's no way to further boost that damage other than like running Sword Stance or getting your Defiant activated for you by the opponent. So it's a little bit trickier in that sense, and I can see why. But still, I would not prefer the rock one though. I don't know. I need to look at rock teams, I guess, to see what they have going on. Ideally, it would be a team with Urshifu Rapid and then Ogerpon, and then I could build up the rest of the team from there. Because this makes either I can argue a Water Grass Core or a Water Fire part. Or a Fire Water Grass Core. So if it was just Urshifu Rapid and Ogerpon, I need something to beat other Ogerpon. Or just Wellspring Mask. And ideally to do that, I would have another grass type in this slot. And Rillaboom feels like the obvious answer. But what if the answer isn't obvious? What if the answer is less than obvious? What if we bring a Mogus back? What if we bring Decidueye? Actually, no, I need to focus on something that base outspeeds Ogerpon, which is hard to find. What's within 110 speed that's a grass, over 110 speed that's a grass type? Oh, Electrode. Jump Off is 110 speed. Meow is 123. They have all the Ogerpons. I always forget Toad Squirrel's 100 base speed, just because they super nerfed him with his ability. Super nerfed him. So basically, if you want to be a grass type faster than Ogerpon, you have to have an ability that makes you fast, or your name has to be Meowscarada or Electrode. Electrode's a funny guy. And I don't like funny guys. Why is Chloroblast 95 accuracy? Why? Why did they do that? It's so mean. I'm trying to think of scenarios where I could justify having an Electrode. And it doesn't beat like any of the core 4. Because they'll just get bodied by Chiyu. You'll get bodied by Flutterman. You'll get super bodied by Landorus. You'll get super bodied by Hands. Especially Assault Vest Hands, which all of them pretty much are. So it's hard to argue that I would want Electrode. Hum da hum hum hum. Oh, E-Terrain. Is there any Paradox Mon that I would want E-Terrain for other than Hands? If I have Bundle, it's going to be Booster anyways, so it's not really worth it. Iron Moth. I guess I want the booster to be faster than Ogerpon. But then feels pretty slow everything else. Oh, really? We even have Grassy Glide on this thing. is this? Song of Storms. Huh. I'm gonna delete that for now. You're our other option. Has anyone ever thought about you being poisoned before? Okay, poison's a bit of a meme here. If I wanted anything, I think what I would need is... This thing is Aurasphere? What? Why is Meowscarada of Aurasphere? Oh, fake tears. Fake tears is... It's an interesting support move if I make my other 3 Pokemon special attackers. That was Quick Attack, though. Quick Attack... Actually... Quick Attack and Sucker both have their uses. I mean, the only thing I could Electro doing is setting up screens, trying to do for parents within, maybe Sash, getting off taunt. You could do offensive, like Life or Core Blast. Yeah, it's just kind of hard because even if you went offensive, I don't think it could do much to offer up to a team. But it says there's only one person watching this. I wouldn't trust that number. It's always weird. I had someone in another stream check his phone to see how many viewers he had in the stream, and on his he had like 9 whole viewers, but on YouTube he said he had only 2. Yeah, it's not super accurate all the time. Give Masquerada Frenzy Plant, U-Turn, or Play Rough. The Protean got super nerfed this generation. I don't even think I would want a Protean one. I think I would want Overgrow for getting the Sash to proc and then dealing massive Flower Trick damage into something. The thing is, the Grass type damage isn't even worth it that much. Like, I think you definitely need Flower Plant or Flower Trick and Knockoff, and Priority is very handy on Frail Mons, and then Protect, just in case you don't want to Terran or avoid Fake Outs breaking your Sash. Like, U-Turn and Play Rough are good type coverage, but they're not good. Like, before you could Play Rough and then Terra Fairy, and then, like, if your opponent went for a fighting type move into you, you would, like, resist it. Now you click Play Rough and Fluttermane clicks Dazzling Gleam and it's faster than you, so it doesn't care anyways. And then Iron Hands comes by and clicks Drain Punch and does the last % of your health on your Focus Sash, even though you went into a Fairy type, or changed into a Fairy type. Frenzy Plant doesn't really do anything anyway. It's a special attack. Let me check that. I thought Frenzy Plant. Okay, I thought Frenzy Plant could be physical or special, but you are right. It is only a special attack. It's Blast? Okay, Blast Burn is legal, but what is Blast Burn doing again? Doesn't tell me because it's legal. Okay, never mind. Yeah, those are special moves. So you don't want to worry about that. The idea is Meowscarada is a special attacker. Well, let's go ahead and look at the stats. Here we have a 110 attack on Meowscarada. We have an 81 on the special attack. So I would be willing to argue that 110 is higher than 81, which would make Meowscarada a physical attacker. On my Scarlet game, when I use Frenzy Plant, it's so overpowered. Well, we're not focusing on like a casual playthrough team. We're focusing on competitive Pokemon, which is very different than a casual playthrough team. And Frenzy Plant, especially in doubles, leaves you super vulnerable. Like, I think the only time that a move like that has been used is just Terra Normal Giga Impact Dragonite. That's like the only time when it's viable. Because in a casual playthrough, you click Frenzy Plant and you're 20 levels above them, so you always KO with Frenzy Plant and then the battle just ends. But if you click Frenzy Plant on turn 1 and you KO something, then the partner Pokemon is available to KO you, or on turn 2, they just have a free turn that they don't have to worry about Meowscarada doing anything, which is just not good. So, so let's just not complete the Firewater Grass core for now. I think I'm going to take off Dondozo for now. Which leaves me with these two hooligans. Very strong physical attackers, but they are both... Well, this one's not weak to Intimidate because you just click Surging Strikes and you crit every turn. But this one is. So what if we cop out and we just put King Gambit on the team? Easy defiant cop out. Solves the Intimidate problem. And with Rapid Strike, we'll be faster than Landorus, and I'm pretty sure a combination of Sucker Punch and Surging Strikes will KO a lot of things. Let's just make my King Gambit the Beluga Paz King Gambit. Full focus on offense and defense. I might put some speed on it later if I need to outspeed things, but I don't know what I want it to be outspeeding yet. Fire, shouldn't you change the nature of the Pokemon you have? Yeah. Wait, what do you mean for this guy? Or for this guy? Because for this one, I probably want speed. To just so I'm not underspeeding uh, underspeeding other Urshifu. That could just click like close combat into my slot and then pick up a KO. Same for Ogerpon. Ogerpon needs to be, if it's gonna be fire, I would prefer for it to be max speed, so I'm not getting oversped by other Ogerpons. King Gambit, just max attack, max special attack. If it's gonna be a Trick Room Gambit, then I'm gonna take off the speed. But other than that, these are fine. For now, at least. Love how you add King Gambit, and then you immediately knew for going for the lazy slash easy, calling it a cop out. I mean, King Gambit is just kind of the cop out right now. It's just so good, and it shores up so many Pokemon teams. But putting it on to a Pokemon team third is kind of a problem. Kind of. Because you really want it to be like the sixth Pokemon that finishes the team, not the third Pokemon that finishes your core. You should use King Gambit last and give it its other ability. Nah, Supreme Overlord isn't very good in doubles. You only get 4 Pokemon to activate it, which is pretty much just having a Life Orb if it goes last. And if you're down to your last Pokemon, you can just get Intimidate spammed down into having no attack. So it's much more important to have Defiant rather than Supreme Overlord. I heard Urshifu got Swords Dance this time around. Yep, they gave Urshifu Swords Dance. I haven't really seen it on any doubles teams, but it is an option. Then you have people on the other end saying, this mon is perfectly balanced. It's alright. For singles is rough with King Gambit, but I don't worry about that. It's not my jurisdiction. For doubles, King Gambit is alright. What else? What else? This is all physical attackers. Now I need special attackers. I need an off-the-wall meta pick that nobody will see coming. Let me find an off-the-wall meta pick that nobody will see coming real quick. No, okay. We're into the D's now. Is Decidueye really... Yeah. Yeah, I don't want Decidueye. Super sweet sort boy, Nah, not on this team. Why do you use Palafin or Ursaluna? So, Palafin isn't very popular right now just because you have to send it out and then switch it back out and then bring it back in order to get it going. And even then, Urshifu Water is more preferred over Palafin because Urshifu Water's moves will always crit, whereas Palafin might have a 60 base power Jet Punch. It can just be... Like, Palafin only really wants to run Water-type moves in order to get its damage down. And all of those can just be redirected by the Wellspring Mask. Whereas if Wellspring Mask is on the field and you have Urshifu, you can just close combat the Wellspring Mask for your endgame. If you really need it. And Ursaluna, Blood Moon form is good, but it's not really my playstyle because it's more of a Trick Room playstyle. And the normal Guts one kind of has similar problems to Palafin, where it needs that one turn to get burned and be in Trick Room in order to get going. And I really don't want to make a Trick Room team, just because I'm not really a Trick Room player, unless I practice for a good amount of time with it. What about Galarian Articuno? It's probably not the best competitive user. It's a little bit like Galarian Articuno just gets hardballed by Chi-Yu and Fluttermane and Hands and Landorus. And you don't want to be weak into 2 of those, let alone 3. And being weak into 4 is just not great. What about Shadow Rider Calyrex? If that was legal, I would definitely use Shadow Rider Calyrex, but sadly, or maybe probably not sadly, joyfully, Calyrider Shadow is not in this format. Oh, look at Pheasantipity, he's just sitting here. Being all funny. And pass for now. Actually, but I already gave the Choice Scarf to Urshifu. I'll think about it. Goldango. Having Kingambit and Goldango is a bit of a risk in the ground type department, especially with the Fire Ogerpon. But if your Urshifu and your other 2 Pokemon can show up your weaknesses into ground, I'm not opposed to ground. The ice version of Cali should be banned too, because the only thing that stops that mon is Necrozma. Yeah, none of those Pokemon are in this format, so we don't gotta worry about those guys. There's a move called Glacial Lance that's 130 base. I think they made it 120 in order to line up with Calyrex Shadow Riders one. So I got a slight nerf, but that's not really the point. I do have a lot of Golden Goes. Man, I said I was gonna finish making this team 20 minutes ago. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should look up some tanky Pheasantipity IVs and then make it acid spray. Icy Wind. Technician. Acid spray, Icy Wind, Dazzling Gleam. Well, actually, no, you don't need Dazzling Gleam if you're going to be spread. Or if you're not going to be Toxic Chain. Maybe Lash Out. There's Metagross with the same typing and Bronzong too, or is it Ghost? No, Bronzong is Psychic Steel. Team building's hard, alright? Takes a lot of work to do good team building, especially when you have to commentate while doing it. I might just take a nap and then come back to this. Oh, man. Pheasantipity's not the greatest moveset, it's trash. I wouldn't say Pheasantipity's moveset is bad. I think Pheasantipity has a great moveset for what it offers. I just don't think Pheasantipity exerts... Like, there are some teams that have Pheasantipity on it as a pretty niche role. I don't think this should be one of those teams, but I'm just looking at what Pheasantipity can do in general. Pheasantipity does have a niche role. It's like, okay. And it depends what you do with it, but it does have a niche place on some teams. But I don't think its moveset is what's bad about Pheasantipity. I think Pheasantipity has a good moveset, just a weird stat spread. I could change the EVs to be a bit more bulky if I wanted to. I've liked Choice Scarf Poison types. I don't think that changes here. However, I don't have much... Unless I made Flutter, like, Booster, Moonblast, Icy Wind, Taunt, Protect. Unless you use, like, Support Flutter Mane for your speed control. I don't know. Hard to say. I don't know. I'm not seeing the pieces that fit together with this team. Nothing here feels like it has synergy. It just feels like I'm taking six Pokemon that I like and smushing them all together. I think I'm gonna take some time. I like Goldengo. I'm just not sure what I would change about it. I think I'm gonna take some time off stream after this just to think about team building. Let me do not this team and not this one. Not this one either. Let me feel out how this team feels. Okay, they have a Goldango. They do have a Roaring Moon. I'm choice specs. Let's see, bundle and bit of a leg spec there. Bundle and oh my goodness. Bundle and they have two dark types, so I don't really want to lead Grim. Maybe even three dark types. If I lead Grim and they lead Goldango, I'm kind of stuck. Let's do Iron Hands Grim and then Bundle and Shiyu and back and just say screw it. I feel like the Roaring Moon wants to pull a fast one on me. Literally. But if they use Make It Rain, I'm okay with them KOing Grimmsnarl. They tricked. So now I have the choice specs, and you have a dead Roaring Moon. Okay, but now an Ogerpon Hearthflame is coming in. Wait, you just got given a Covert Cloak, right? Taking my Assault Vest doesn't really help me right now. This thing's pretty much dead. Ogerpon could follow me. I'm done to doing this. Okay, what is Terrifier picking up a KO into? Almost picked up a KO into Ogerpon, and they Make It Rain, and I think that picks up KO into both. Nope, just Grim. Or, nope, just Hands. Choice specs, right. I'm at least faster than Goldango, so I could KO that this turn if I really wanted to by Terra Ghosting and then Icy Winding. Or I could Hydro Pump the Ogerpon. I like that too, actually. And then let Grimmsnarl die. Ow. Crits my bundle. They have 2 Pokemon left, but it's very dependent on what their last one is. I think if it's Shenpao, we're fine. Okay, it's Rillaboom. We like Rillaboom here. They use their Terra, right? So I'm free to just click Protect. I click Thunderbolt. Heatwave misses Goldango. Oh, but it crits Rillaboom. Okay, that's GG. Wait, actually. If they super para me. They're super parrying me. I hit them once and they die. It just comes down to how many para turns I'm about to take. And that's that. Oh wait, this is a best of 3? Oh. I don't care about that. Also, someone told me that Terra works different in VGC, where you're supposed to be able to see which Terra your opponent is using. Yes, that would be in the team sheet. Why didn't I just read the team sheet? I thought we were doing best of 1. I'm ready for game. I'm ready for game 2. I thought I clicked best of 1. I must have clicked best of 3. Yeah, in regular VGC, they give you an open team sheet where you can see Terra and move pool and which form they're using, like for Urshifu. Okay, what did they do well that game? They led Goldango. I'm gonna lead Iron Hands to start again. And this time I'm going to have Chiyu, I think. And then bundling back was kind of handy. Making sure their Tailwind didn't go up was a big thing. I think I'm going to start Iron Bundle Hands. And then have Chiyu and Flutter Maiden back. Okay, they start the same thing again. Oh, what are they going to do? They could Thunderbolt Iron Bundle. Their Rolling Moon is attack, not speed. So I could make it so that Icy Wind into Drain Punch would actually no, it would not make it slower than my Iron Hands. My Iron Hands is pretty slow. Clicking Freeze Dry into Roaring Moon just seems like a safe option. And then Wild Charge into Goldango. They Thunderbolt? They did Thunderbolt. No, they make it rained, but that still picked up KO. Well, Fooey. I probably should have brought Chiyu in here. Ah, but screw it, why not? Okay, that's why not. Oh my god, I'm lagging up a storm. What happens if you lose? I lose like 20 rank points. That's it. That's all that happens. Okay, I lose my Chiyu, but they lose their Ogerpon. They still have another Pokemon after this, though. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it a whole heckin' ton. Yeah, now I lose this one. Especially if they're Focus Sash Urshi. Oh, never mind. Their Tailwind makes them faster than me, though. The extra turn of Tailwind got me. I was mentally checked out after game one. It took all of that stuff just to win game one. Now I gotta play another game. See, this is what I like about Goldango, is that Goldango can click Make It Rain and then you don't have to worry about anything. As long as you still have your Tailwind turn up. Heck, I might just steal this team. Wait, what is this? Stealing this for later. Okay, if they're gonna lead the Pokemon that they did, then I'm gonna lead Iron Bundle Chiyu. And Flutter Mane was not as useful last turn. So we're gonna have Grim and Hansen back. What is their Goldango? Oh, it's Terra Steel. Okay. It's Terra Steel, no Protect. Hi, Poke Bros. How you doing? You are lagging pretty hard. Yeah, we're getting towards that point where I need to stop existing. I don't see a reason for me not to just click Icy Wind and Heat Wave here. Okay, they go into Urshifu Rapid, and they Protect. And their Urshifu is Scarf? Can I get a burn? No. Their Urshifu is Mystic Water, so I could easily just freeze dry that slot. Or I could just repeat what I just did. What's to stop me from doing that? Nothing. The answer was nothing. You're no longer booster on your... Yeah, you give up. That's GG. Okay. My brain cells worked there for a second. Even though that team... I was able to beat that team using this team, I think I want to look into using Goldango for my team. And this team that I just beat might be a good place to start. I'm going to work on that, and I'll be back another time. But, yeah, this is going to be the end because my computer is lagging so much. And in an hour to half an hour from now, we'll be back with some Terra raids for Hisui and Decidueye. So look forward to that. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, maybe consider leaving a like on the video and even consider subscribing because both of those things help me out an absolute ton. And I will see you in the next video / live stream. Thank you very much.